Yo, 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 what is up? It's your boy Sturls. Man, what a crushing defeat by the Buffalo Bills here in London with a loss of 25-20. There are some things to talk about. There's definitely some things to talk about. But we're going to get into all that. You are listening to the Intentional Grounding podcast right here on the Buffalo Rumblings vidcast feed. This is the Buffalo Rumblings post-game show. This show is brought to you by Slide a Shelf, where we can help you reach what matters. Bills fans, if you have a home improvement project that involves shelving, make sure you see our guys at Slide a Shelf. With their shelves, they slide in and out. And, you can put all the things you need in your cabinetry, snacks, food. Makes it easy to use. www.slideashelf.com, where they help you reach what matters. Use the promo code Intentional Grounding, get 20% off. Again, 20% off, promo code Intentional Grounding. You can find their products in Lowe's and Home Depot and online, shipping local and nationwide. Slide a Shelf. All right, man. Here we go. So let's get the feelings out of the way first, because I have a few feelings on this show here today. Man, what a just awful display of football that we saw this morning, actually. Okay, this morning. I live out in Denver, Colorado, so this game kicked off at 7:30. And I was talking this week, and I felt like this game, it just felt weird. It felt weird. It felt weird when the schedule makers dropped this game to be in London. Yeah, there's excitement. Okay, you're playing overseas, but when you get and you start looking at it schematically, scheduling, it's just kind of unfortunate. Now, I'm not here to say that the Bills were screwed by any means, because they did have to go play a football game just like the Jacksonville Jaguars did. But I would be remiss not to say that there were some advantages in this game before the ball was even kicked off. This was the first time in NFL history where a team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, played two games in London back-to-back. So unlike the Bills, who decided for some odd reason, they decided to get there on Friday and play a Sunday game. Of course you're going to be tired. We heard all week, they were talking about how they're going to put it up to their sports management and medicine team to kind of figure out, or sports science team, to kind of figure out when would be the best time to get over there. And I always thought, obviously, I'm going to sit here and say, well, they should have did it this way, but yeah, you should have did it this way. As soon as the Dolphins game was done, you guys should have been over in London all week. I'm sorry, because whatever plan that they had going in, it did not work. You could see it. These guys look tired, out of sorts. It didn't look clean. It is not the same team that we saw the previous 4 weeks. Even in the loss to the Jets, the team looked focused and ready to go outside of Josh Allen week 1. Too many penalties in this game. Drop balls. Gabe Davis. I feel like there's some things where I feel like the utilization of Dalton Kincaid and James Cook need to be better. Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about. DMX says, the bottom line is we traveled over there 2 days before the game, and the Jags have been there for 2 weeks. Total advantage Jags. I agree. Bills weren't great, but refs were horrible considering the half defense was hurt. They didn't do bad. Yeah, to an extent. No, they weren't great today. We're gonna get at it. Let's jump into the box score here. We do this every single week. We jump into the box score, look at the stats, kind of see what kind of generated storylines that we can grab out of here before we even talk about the injuries to some key players. But Trevor Lawrence comes in on the day, 25 of 37, 315 yards, 8.5 yards per throw, 1 touchdown, 0 picks. 5 sacks that he took. Trevor Lawrence, man, look, he played a good ball game. I mean, he had some turnovers that he'd like to have back, but when it mattered most, he made the plays. He made the plays. Travis Etienne, 26 carries, a buck 36, 2 touchdowns, and the long being a 35-yard run to kind of ice the game. Coming into this game, I really didn't think Travis Etienne would be a factor. I felt like the Bills' run defense had been pretty good. But, I think not having Daquan Jones, I think that really hurt him. So 26 carries, 136 yards, good game for Travis Etienne here, and the touchdown to seal the game. Receiving for the Jaguars, you got Calvin Ridley, most notably 7 receptions, 122 yards, 0 touchdowns, but a long of 32 on Micah Hyde on 8 targets. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. Christian Kirk had a solid day, 6 for 78. Travis Etienne added almost 50 yards receiving, and Zay Jones had 3 catches, 23 yards, most notably the one in the end zone to start the game off. So for the Buffalo Bills, let's talk about, you know what? Let's go to the injury. So we kind of see what kind of took place here with the Jaguars, but I want to get into some of the percentages. Let's go to team stats here. All right, here we go. This is something that I wanted to kind of to see here. So the Jaguars were 29th in the league in third down efficiency, 29th in the league. But today they were 10 of 18. And some critical third downs. Some critical third downs, man. You cannot let them do this to you. Third downs. And so I mentioned Calvin Ridley for a reason. So coming in this game, we saw this morning that Christian Benford was out with an injury. So that shoulder where he came back in the game last week against the Dolphins, he is now out with an injury this week. And he did not play. So what does that mean? What did it mean for this game? It meant that Christian Bernard being out meant that Kyrie Elam had to step up to the plate. And this is a guy that, I've pounded the table for. I even said things about Sean McDermott in terms of like the preparation and, maybe kind of being too hard on him. But I can't defend bad play. And today, and I don't want to hear, well, he hadn't played all season. You're a pro. Like you're expected to come in. You got to do better than that, man. Especially when your calling card is man coverage, tight man coverage. You did not do that today. You're falling all over yourself. This game is not put on Kyrie Elam's back. I'm just saying that, but he did not play well. He did not perform to the capability that I thought he could play today. And I'm sure he'd say the same thing if you talk to him. 5 of those receptions from Calvin Ridley came on a first down, and guess who was in coverage on him? Kyrie Elam. Looking on the other side, what does that say about Dane Jackson? Dane Jackson's not he's not a man corner. He's not a press man corner. So they did not feel the need to put their best guy in coverage, which statistically, schematically, when you could play zone, Dane Jackson would be the guy. But because they kind of changed it up, you got to throw Kyrie Elam in there. Sean McDermott, put it on him. Say, hey, all right, show me what you got, and we're going to play some man coverage too. And he did not get the job done. So that's not good moving forward. Can he improve? Yeah, he probably can improve, but will he? That remains to be a question mark here. That remains to be a question mark here. Penalties. The Bills had 11 penalties for 109 yards. 11 penalties for 109 yards. Coming into the game, they were the least penalized team in the NFL. So I don't know. The football god said, you know what, guys, we're going to have to throw some yellow out here today on these boys. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy theory, no, but 11 for 109, not good. The Jaguars, 8 for 56. And there's one stat here that I'm going to bring up that really, when you consider the Buffalo Bills coming over here this week, all the things that they have to kind of hurdle, getting your mental clock ready, feeling right. You could see that they kind of had some festivities where they went out and kind of, toured around and, whatever. It's resting to an extent. But the time of possession battle, the Bills lost here. 38 minutes, 12 seconds. The Bills had the ball for 21 minutes, 48 seconds. And that's a 17-second differential right there. 17-minute differential there. Look, not only were the Bills battling injuries, so who do we have go out today? Daquan Jones with a pec. Matt Milano will say a leg because it's not clear what we just saw the big cast as he was taken off the field. Okay. Too many injuries today. Too many injuries today. Too many. And man, Matt Milano, good God. That's the one. 2 consecutive weeks where we lose people. Last week it was Trey White. This week, Matt Milano. We don't know the severity of the injury, but man, it did not look good. I don't know how, I don't know how maybe, if you want to send one up to Jesus and say, hey, man, heal this dude's leg, but it did not look good. He got rolled up on. And that's a big loss for the Bills. I'm telling you right now, you cannot understate the impact that his injury will have on this defense. You just lost your best playmaker. You lost your best playmaker. Now, Terrell Bernard played well in his absence. Dorian Williams had some moments. Terrell Dotson had some moments. But listen, the chemistry from Bernard and Milano that they were developing was lethal. And we saw evidence of that all season long thus far. So him being out definitely deflated the air in the room. We saw Von Miller come back. Shout out to Von Miller. He looked good for the time he was in there. I don't think it was an injury as to why we saw him on the sideline in the fourth quarter with a hat on. I think, he was on a pitch count. Like McDermott said, he's on a pitch count. So, pump the brakes if you feel some type of way that Von didn't play in the fourth quarter because, I don't think that was their plan at all. I don't think that was the plan at all. But so we talked Daquan Jones not being in the game really opened up some rush lanes. Ed Oliver did what he could. Jordan Phillips, they did what they could, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. On the offense side of the ball for the Buffalo Bills, let's talk about that for a second here. Josh Allen, 27 of 40, 359, 9 yards per completion, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Now, the pick is there because he threw it to the other team. Now, Stephon Diggs could have had that ball. He should have had that ball. He did have that ball, but the defensive back made a better play. But Josh Allen finishes the game with 102 rating. He also had a touchdown. Now, here's where it gets bad. And this is where I'm going to start complaining. This is where it gets really bad. Because what the Jaguars were able to do is they made the Bills one-dimensional, which a team hasn't been able to do that all season. They didn't have to run really that much last week because the passing game was just on point. The passing game was great last week, but this week the numbers are there, but schematically no. But the rushing, Josh Allen was the leading rusher today. 4 carries, 14 yards, 1 touchdown. He also had the longest run of the day, which was 7 yards. Damian Harris, 3 of 13. Latavius Murray, 2 of 6. And James Cook, 5 for -4. James Cook came into the league with the third, he had the third most rushing yards in the league coming into this contest. And this is the second week where he hadn't looked good. Now, I will say this. Ken Dorsey, the way that he is using James Cook with these draw plays and these counter trap runs, it's not working. It's not working. You gotta, as much as we praise him for, scheming up a really good run package, really good run design for the offensive playbook, they have to go to the drawing board and figure something out. When you look over and you see Travis Etienne run with power north and south, you got to be able to do that. And the Bills went out and they got Latavius Murray and Damian Harris to do those things, and they didn't get it done. That's a problem. So the Jaguars, whose defense is not as good as yours, offensive line not as good as yours, Say, guess what? We're gonna run it down your throat, and we're gonna keep doing it, and eventually it's gonna pop. Well, they stayed consistent with the run, and it paid dividends. The Buffalo Bills have to do the same. You cannot. What's gonna happen is this: if you continue to play this way, and I understand, like I'm not here to overreact necessarily, but we talk about championship teams have balance where you can run the ball, you could pass the ball with balance. We've seen the Buffalo Bills over the years. And you take Josh Allen's rushing out of it. They've been in the bottom third of the league rushing the ball. Now we've seen improvements this year, but the last 2 weeks have not been good. And if it happens a third week, that's a trend. That is a trend, folks. You gotta be able to run the ball. James Cook is a good back. You got 3 good backs. Run the ball north and south between the tackles, man. Stop being cute. I feel like Dorsey was too cute today in his run design. Johnny says these delayed shotgun handoffs are killing this team. Man, you are effing right. Michael Labar says another way to lose the shit game is deja vu all over again. Okay, I understand what you're saying, but you gotta keep this in mind. Who do we know the Buffalo Bills to be? We know them to be a very disciplined football club, a very energetic football club. But they made the wrong decision of flying to London on Friday. They made the wrong decision, and you saw it today. I don't care what you say. And I'm not here to be poo-poo. No, you suck today. They're tired. I mean, I don't blame them. They're tired. Okay? So you know, timing was off. The first quarter looked disastrous offensively. Disaster offensively. Dalton Kincaid, let's talk about him for a minute. This is a trend, folks. This is a trend. 2 catches, 19 yards on 2 targets. So the 2 times you decide to throw him the ball, he catches it. What, for the love of God, tell me why every time we see Dalton Kincaid deployed, it's like these little outlets, and you know he's near the line of scrimmage, and we're using him to block inside, and it's like, what are we doing? This guy, pre-draft, he's supposed to be a matchup nightmare, and I'm not putting this on Dalton Kincaid. I'm putting this on Ken Dorsey. This is the last week you get away with it because everything else was working. But when you lose, things become magnified. And I said this last week on this show. You got to find a way to get Dalton Kincaid involved. It cannot be Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs all the time. That's not a winning formula. You got to have people step up. Yes, Gabe Davis has 6 receptions for 100 yards, but he had a drop. He had a big time drop on a 3rd down, man. You can't do that. And it's not like, it'd be one thing if it was, you know, Deontay Hardy. No, man, it's like Gabe Davis. Like you want to be a number 1. Stephon Diggs calls you a number 1 receiver, which I disagree with. I'm sorry, but like, no, it's not good enough, dude. I still feel like right now the Bills, don't shoot the messenger here, but we still need a weapon on offense because you obviously, and it has to be a wide receiver because Ken Dorsey cannot draw up a successful, productive plan for Dalton Kincaid. So we got 2 tight ends. One's overpaid. You're paying Dawson Knox $14 million a year. And you got a 1st-round rookie tight end and Dalton Kincaid that you do not use well enough. You do not use him well enough. So, look, something's got to give. What was the point of spending a 1st-round pick on a tight end and you don't use him? You don't use him down the seam. You don't use him over the middle. That to me doesn't make sense, man. He's 6'4". Throw him a jump ball. Like we use him like he's a lineman, like flexing out, like where he catches the, like, come on, man. Like, dude, it's just frustrating. And you know, these things kind of amplify when there's a loss. But I'm telling you right now, dude, it's not good. Yeah, B Bills. Kyrie Elam got cooked. I'm over Kyrie Elam. I'm telling you, I am over it. I'm over it. Put Ingram in there. Jamarcus Ingram, put him in there next time because Elam, he's to me right now. He's Cody Ford to me. They have Cody Ford, Elam. There's no plan for him. Yeah, he can get better, but man, I listen. When you're a healthy scratch for 4 weeks, well, this is why. So maybe Sean McDermott ain't crazy. Maybe he ain't crazy, but Elam did not look good. And I don't want to hear, where's DeMar Hamlin? He's not good either, folks. He is not. He ain't good. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. It is what it is. And I don't want to come in here and be depressing because, I mean, none of us really feel good after a loss like this. But those are some things I got to point out. Early in the game, you got to look, I get Josh Allen right now has a very high completion percentage, and that's awesome. It means that he's taking what the defense is giving him. James Cook had a critical drop in the first quarter there on the right side for a first down. He dropped it, man. That's when I knew right there. That's why I said, oh, shit. This ain't good. This is not – it just looked flat. Everything they were doing out there looked flat. It looked flat. That's not winning football. Not winning football. So you start the game with 3 3-and-outs, man. 3. You had 4 all season coming to the game. You had 4 all season coming into the game, and you had 3 to start off with. That's not you're already handcuffing yourself. And we want to talk about, okay, so the Jags get the ball, they go down the field, they score. Okay, the touchdown, fine. I'll accept that. Great throw, great catch. But you mean to tell me that the defense wasn't lined up properly and they looked confused? They looked confused for the toss on the outside to Travis Etienne on 2-point conversion. That to me was frustrating. That's on McDermott because they weren't prepared. They looked like they had Manning face just, and I'm like, what is going on here, man? They were shell shocked. My Ninja Turtle reference there. Them boys are shell shocked, man. It's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. Jern Nayan says, is Gabe Davis a legit number 2? Well, in my opinion, no. He's not a legit number 2. There are some people out there that says he's up there with the likes of T. Higgins. No, he's not. No, he's not, man. Like, the Bills, the best the Bills offense has been is when they had Emmanuel Sanders and those guys. Because you had real route runners outside of Diggs. Cole Beasley in the slot. Emmanuel Sanders on the outside. And you don't have that right now. It's a problem. Look, you're not going to – okay, Stephon Diggs, you're going to get your 100 yards and a tutty every game. But who else is going to step up? This Bills offense is either all-world performance by Diggs and Allen, some cute runs by James Cook, and nothing else. We will lose the divisional round of the playoffs with football like that. I'm sorry, but you're not. Listen, if you can't run a route and uncover underneath, short, intermediate, Gabe Davis, Dalton Kincaid, Deontay Hardy, this football team is cooked offensively. Josh Allen could put up these record-setting numbers, but you do not have the balance or the tools necessary to make a deep run in the playoffs and be good. Now, oh, and by the way, so now that you lost Matt Milano, you're handcuffed more. So you gotta score more points on offense. You have to have more of a threat on offense. That's how you combat that. Because A, you're not going to go out and get a linebacker to replace him. Who's going to just trade you all-pro linebacker or a good linebacker? It ain't happening. It's not happening. Who's going to trade you a cornerback? I mean, you can call Denver, but they'll trade him. But you're going to have to get. It's going to have to hurt a little bit to get Patrick Surtain. What are you going to do? So the Bills got to it's got to be internal. It's got to be internal. I put up a poll this week, and I said, if you were to make a trade, this is in lieu of the Trey White injury. I said, if you were to make a trade on offense or defense, what side of the ball are you targeting? Most people said on the defense side of the ball, and I didn't put, I didn't label it by position, but most people said the defense side of the ball. I just don't think, and I could be, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think there's the cavalry ain't coming. You got Vaughn back. You want to get him back healthy, but you're gonna have to figure it out in the secondary, and people are gonna have to step up. I'll say this: Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. Today wasn't their best day. I mean, we got to look at the all 22, but today wasn't their best day. Wasn't their best day today. And I'm not pointing the blame on them by any means, but it was meh. The tackling today was bad. Trevor Lawrence in the backfield, letting ETN, get away from you. It's proof that the Bills were ill-equipped today. They were tired, and the Jaguars were fresh. That was a fresh football team we saw. What are you gonna do? Your sports science team failed you on that. They sure did. They did. Let's talk about. So we cover Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and before anybody gets crazy, yes, Stephon Diggs was pissed and he threw down his tablet. That doesn't mean he doesn't want to be here, media. Okay, the man's passionate. Let's talk about the defense for a second for the Bills. Guess how many tackles Terrell Bernard had? 16 tackles. He continues to be a very bright spot. 8 solo. That's pretty good. Kyrie Elam was second. 8 solo, 11 total. But guess what, man? That stat to me right there. That doesn't listen. Yeah, you caught Calvin Ridley, but after he caught the ball for a first down, like, how about a pass breakup? He had 0 pass defense. Ed Oliver had a good game today. At first, he had a couple bonehead penalties. You got to be better, but 3 tackles for loss for a defensive tackle and a sack, forced fumble. Ed Oliver's continuing to have himself a season. It really hurt not having Greg Rousseau, man. I too much Kingsley, Jonathan, and Vickers on the outside for me, man. Like, what the Kendall Vickers, really? I mean, why was Shaq out? Shaq Lawson didn't play today. You got Kendall Vickers, Kingsley Jonathan going out for injury and coming back, and injury and coming back. Like, oh man. So Leonard Floyd today, 2 sacks, but I felt like he didn't play enough. I'm sitting here looking at third down. Where the hell is Leonard Floyd? Why isn't he on the field? It beats me, man. I get leaning into your rotation, but when there's injuries and you're already behind the gun, you got to put the best players on the field, man. You got to. I hate that. That bugs me so much. Put your best players on the field. I didn't like that. Shout out to Dorian Williams today. I mean, for a guy not playing, he sure came in and he looked good so far. I mean, look, as a rookie, Terrell Bernard didn't even sniff the field, really. But when he came in, I mean, had a good pass breakup. What does that tell you? Dorian Williams had more pass breakups than Kyrie Elam, man. Like that, it's like, come on, man. Oh, you can't make this stuff up, folks. You cannot make this stuff up. AJ Epinesa, boy, is that guy trying to get paid? He looked fantastic today. Yeah, he to me, he single-handedly kept the Bills in the game. 4 total tackles, 2 sacks, 3 pass defense. Like Kyrie Elam had 0. I mean, come on, man. You can't make this stuff up. It just was a poor showing for some of these guys today. Poor showing. Let's talk about Josh Allen while we're on. Let's switch from the defense for a minute. And it might seem like I'm going all over the place, but you know, it's hard to script these shows, these post game shows, because it's a live reaction. I felt like Josh Allen, he looked good. He looked good today. Like, considering. I felt like he should have used his legs more if he could have. I felt like there were some opportunities where he could have used his legs more. Like somebody needed to be the spark. I don't know if you got watching the game, if you felt like there just wasn't a spark. They just looked glass faced. And I saw something, every time they pan to Josh Allen on the sideline, he's just sitting there. And maybe he's just kind of going through his motion, kind of figuring things out or whatever. But, we've seen Josh Allen in the past fire these guys up, man. And I wanted to see that. And maybe, and I'm, I wasn't there. Maybe there was some of that on the sideline that we didn't get a chance to see. But, man, I kind of want to see you, step up in that regard. Yo, come on, guys. It's okay. I understand, we're not going to be moved. We're going to, it's the same level of we're fine. But to a point where you're not. And I felt like they needed some juice. So the defense out there, like we talked about, the defense was out there for 17 more minutes than the offense was. At 38 minutes. Them boys were tired at the end. So you can't really fault the defense. They kept you in the game. You really can't fault the defense here. Because they were on the field too much. What are they supposed to do? And you're down how many starters? 4 starters? If I'm not mistaken, 4 starters went out. That's a recipe for for a disaster. And the Bills were outscored in every quarter, except for the second. So going into halftime, that great sack, strip fumble by Epinesa. So we're going into halftime thinking, okay, there's a chance. Even though it's 11-7, the Bills are going to get the ball in the third quarter, and I felt like that first drive was going to tell me a lot. And boy, 3 and out. And I don't want to hear, well, the Bills should have been more aggressive on fourth down. No, nothing was working. The game, the way things were drawn up this week, it just didn't look good. It just I don't fault McDermott for punting at all today. Not at all. I felt like that was the right call, man. I felt like it was the right call. But you come in, you start the game in the second half with 3 and out, and the defense is right back on the field. You got to play better. You got to play better. To the comments here by PB Production says the Bills offense can stay on the field. A lot of drop passes, even penalties helped the Jags win the game. Josh Allen was good. It was just one of those. It was just some of those passes were dropped. Yeah, some of those passes were dropped. Those are when you stepping onto the field, you're already at a disadvantage just because for the simple fact that the Jags have been over there. They stayed over there. Again, 2 weeks in a row. You're already at a disadvantage. And you left Thursday night, Friday, or whatever. You're already at a disadvantage. Jet lag is real. These guys' internal clocks are all jacked up, man. So somebody from the sports science department needs to come. I need an explanation. I am not a doctor, nor I know much about sports science, but I'm a human, and I've been overseas before. It takes a couple days for you to feel right, and I'm not doing the physical stuff that they're doing. So I don't know, man. It just, like I said earlier, when the schedule came out, this looked like a game where you're just yeah, okay, that's a loss. A lot of people said the Bills will lose the game, but seeing last week, right? I'm like, okay, the Bills can win this game, and they should have won this game. This game was there for the taking. So if you want like a silver lining, something to take away from this game this week, despite the Bills having a disadvantage, even getting off the plane, they came into this game and they still could have won. That's a testament of a good football team. All these guys rotating on the defensive line, they still managed to get pressure on Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence just made some really good plays. But this is a really good football team, man. So, yeah, it's not doom and gloom. The season's not over by any means. And I don't think, I don't think this is a loss that we're gonna have, this is gonna hurt us in the long run in terms of the AFC number one seed or the division. I just feel like the Dolphins are right now, they're leading the division again. But it's okay. Like the Bills are gonna be fine, but they do need to find answers elsewhere. They have to find answers on the offense in terms of receiving options. And waiting for Dalton Kincaid or for Ken Dorsey to use him in the right way is not what I'm talking about. They need to go get somebody. They need to get a real receiver. Okay, I think Gabe Davis is best as wide receiver 3 or 4, not 2. And I think we're going to start seeing that. When teams are able to clamp up on you and these games get tight and they take Diggs away, who do you think is going to step up for the offense? I'll wait. It's not there. It's not there. Whew. Man, I get fired up with these games, man. Especially after a loss like this. Deontay Hardy, today receiving, it was nice to see him involved to an extent. Okay. Two receptions, 62 yards, along 43. That was nice to see him do that. However, the punt return stuff, he muffed the punt. Like you almost blew it. I mean, you almost blew it there. Those are some errors that you know. Ah, man. So where does this leave us? I've kind of, I've said all I can say really, but where does this leave us from here? Well, looking at this Bills team, here are some takeaways. This is what we learned today. 1, if you play in London again, you got to make sure that you leave early next time. Just after Sunday or whenever, that London game is, or Germany or whatever, you just leave, man. Get over there. Give your guys more time to acclimate to the conditions or to the time change. Okay. Number 2, you gotta figure out the run game, how to get James Cook going, because he's dynamic when he has the ball in his hands, but you can't keep giving it to him on these little quick draws and the way they're using them right now. It's not working. So that's 2 weeks in a row it was shut down. And you got to get Dalton Kincaid involved in your offense more, down the field particularly. I think those things that'll help. Now the Denver Broncos have said everybody on the defense is up for grabs. Like if you like a player we have, they'll holla at me, call me maybe. I mean it's I mean to really hope for a corner, it's probably not going to happen, right? But I mean, I would love to see some sort of transaction that moves the needle for a corner. That's not there. Go call the Panthers about Dante Jackson down there. That to me seems more realistic. Let's think about. Let's hope that Matt Milano's injury is not long term. Let's hope, because if it's not, great. But if it is, woof, we got problems. Houston, we have a problem. Yeah, so moving forward, the Buffalo Bills, we play the New York Giants on Sunday night. So please get out of London as fast as you can. As soon as the press conference is over, get the hell out of there, man. Go home. Go back to Buffalo. These guys can be with their family. Give them Monday off and figure it out the rest of the week. But I would like to see a team come ready to go. Like Sunday night game, New York Giants. The Giants look like trash. They don't look like a good team right now. They're playing Miami. It's pretty close, 7-0 right now, second quarter. But you got to win now. So coming up, these are the Bills' next 4 games. I'll tell you what they are. You got the Giants next week. You got the Patriots after that, Bucks and Bengals and Broncos. So that's 5 games. All 5 of those games are winnable. So right now the Bills sit at 5-2. So if you take care of business in the next 5 weeks, you could be sitting there at 8-2. So even if you go 4-1, that'd be great. You got to. All right. The season's not over. It's just a loss. These things happen. It wasn't like they were playing in Buffalo or, B. Bill says no sugar high Josh. Josh will be fine. Josh has been playing well this year. Josh has been playing well. Oh, man. Before we go, if you guys have any questions that you'd like to ask, shoot them. This is the time to ask before we get out of here, so you guys can go enjoy the rest of your Sunday and what's left of it. And just FYI, like, just because the Bills lost doesn't mean you have to have a bad day the rest of the day. You can still enjoy the rest of the day. Sometimes, in the past, I used to let these losses kind of just hamper my day. Man, you just be pissed walking around like the Bills lost or whatever. And, spend time with your family, man. Go for a walk. It's at the end of the day, it's just football. I know it's different in Buffalo because we love the Bills, right? But there's still life to live. You got to enjoy your life, man. And you can't get too high. You can't get too low, right? So last week it's a perfect example. Last week we were on top of the mountain. So this week, guess what? We're going to hear the Josh Allen didn't do enough from Nick Wright and, try to say what he needs to say or whatever. And we're going to hear people say, oh, man, the injuries and stuff, which they're right. Too many injuries. This franchise is snake bitten. I mean, it's like these guys cannot catch a damn break. I don't know what it is, but this is what happens in the NFL, man. Here's a question. It says, do you think the Bills will ever win a game in London? They're 0-2 in all time. I don't want to see the Bills play another game in London, but they will play another game in London eventually. And yes, I think they'll win a London game, but if they're 0-3, then we got a trend here. I'm not really worried about another loss, right? The last time the Bills lost, I think E.J. Manuel was a quarterback in London against the Jaguars. So Johnny says it's Canadian Thanksgiving. Last thing I want to do is be around people. Last thing I want to do is be around people for right now. Oh, man. I did not know it was Canadian Thanksgiving. What do y'all eat on Canadian Thanksgiving? And why y'all do it so damn early? I know history and, their history is not, ours and, all that stuff. Thanksgiving is a trash holiday in terms of what it really means, but I love the festivities of it. Do you think they fired Dorsey during the season? No. Ken Dorsey is a really good offensive coordinator. He's good offensive coordinator. I just feel like his run game design philosophy, he needs to make some tweaks to it. But no, I think Ken Dorsey's the right man for the job here. Just think last week he was cooking them boys. Ken Dorsey was in his bag last week. This week, in the run game, not so much. Pass game, yeah, it was good, but you got to figure out with the Dalton Kincaid thing. But no, I don't think he'll be fired by any means. Walter says you need more than 29 rushing yards. When Calvin Ridley has more rushing yards than your running backs, you have a problem. Yeah, we talked about that early in the show. Like, Josh Allen can't be everything. 4 carries, 14 yards, man. You got to do better. That is not going to cut it. You have to find balance. Again, I'm a big proponent of you got to be able to run the ball and pass the ball to be successful in the playoffs. A good passing game it will get you to the playoffs, but it will not sustain you to win a Super Bowl. And the goal here is to win a Super Bowl if you're the Buffalo Bills. The goal has to be a Super Bowl. You can't settle for a divisional round win and you beat the Chiefs. That ain't going to cut it. You got to get to the chip. That's all that matters right now. So whatever the Bills got to do, if you got to look, people poo-poo on the Rams for putting themselves in position to get to the Super Bowl by making moves, aggressive moves. Brandon Beane says he wants to be aggressive, or he wants to remain relevant and competitive now and in the future. Okay, I agree with that. But there's also something to when the iron strikes hot, and if you see an opportunity to better your football team, regardless of picks. I'm not saying you sell the farm, but there has to be a happy medium in there somewhere. So go out and find, like, for the offensive sake. I'm not talking defensively, but if you got Patrick Surtain or Dante Jackson, it'd be great. But in terms of help on the offense, you got the offensive line's playing great. You got to get another pass catcher, man. This is not cutting it. It's seeing Khalil Shakir in the slot as a receiving option, man. He's just not dynamic. He's not dynamic enough. It ain't gonna work, man. So they gotta get another pass catcher to make me feel good. Like, you look at the Jags. Evan Ingram's a really good tight end. Okay. But the receiving options are Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley. Hell, I'd take Zay Jones over here. I really would right now. I need something in the slot. Go call the Raiders. Hunter Renfrow barely plays every week. Why can't you go get Hunter Renfrow? What's stopping you? Great route runner, separates at the top of the stem in a route, catches the ball fluidly, smart. The choice routes in your offense become, now you could do them again. Right now, like, who's doing the choice routes? I ain't really seeing too much of it. So, yeah, man, there's some things that from my opinion, that the Bills can do to get better outside of getting rest, trying to stay healthy, etc. Brandon Beane can really help his football team out here and make some moves. But that's all I got, folks. You know, this is the Intentional Grounding podcast right here on the Buffalo Rumblings vidcast feed. If you haven't liked, followed, and subscribed to Buffalo Rumblings, make sure you do so. I'll be here all season long with the Buffalo Rumblings post-game show. It's been a pleasure, folks. It really has been a pleasure today. Even though we're going to leave here on a sad note, or we entered here on a sad note, I hope that I gave you some clarity to power through the rest of the day and to really, really enjoy your week. I think that's what it matters at the end of the day. And look, keep in mind, this is just football. Whether you win or lose, it's just football, right? So go love on your family, kiss your wife, or whatever you do, hug your kids. But this is Intentional Grounding, and guess what, folks? I'm Sterls for the girls, and we out of here. Peace.